I'm Erin O'Byrne and welcome to Everything EFL podcast. I'm passionate about serving teachers and I offer training for schools and institutions whose language teachers need a little refresher, a change of mindset and some super practical ideas to put into their classrooms straight away. There is no one-size-fits-all lesson plan, but you've got a friend and support system in me. I can help reduce your overwhelm, give you some teacher inspiration, and improve your work-life balance. How? With some solid advice, takeaways you can try out immediately, and some much-needed teacher love, because your well-being is important too. Are you ready to make small changes one step at a time and remember how amazing you are? Let's go! Hello, you gorgeous teacher. If you're one of my lovely regular listeners, welcome back. If you're brand new to Everything EFL podcast, you are most welcome and I hope you stick around. Please excuse the quality of my voice. I'm still getting over a cold. I've been off work for 2 weeks. Now, I'm releasing this episode a little bit earlier than planned because I'm a sucker for punishment. I have decided to run a free webinar on February the 18th. That's a Tuesday, 7 p.m. UK time. And that means I have to promote it. Now, obviously, if you've been listening or reading any of my social media, you'll know that I'm planning on doing a second version of my Methods and Mindset, which I have very snappily renamed Heart and Craft, the Methodology Mindset Blueprint for Language Teachers. Yes, it's a mouthful, but do you know what? I love it. And I will be promoting that within the webinar, okay? But the webinar is free. And if you join the webinar, you will get the only discount to the second version of this course. Now, even if you're in my newsletter, you still have to sign up for the webinar. You don't have to watch the webinar. You can skip to the end and get the discount if you like, but I think it's worth watching because I'm going to show you one really simple thing you can do to solve a small issue that I think all teachers face, and that's all I'm going to tell you. I was told that the best workshops solve one problem, so I'm going to try and keep it as simple as possible, but I am going to make it interactive, so we will actually create at least one task together. It's highly experimental. I've never done this before on a webinar. It could go completely wrong, but I don't think it will. I think it will be a really nice exercise for us to do, and then whatever we create will be available for a couple of weeks so that you can download it and possibly use it, or take the inspiration and try it with a different grammar point or a different language point. I hope you're intrigued. Sign up. If you're interested, sign up. The link's in the show notes and it will be on all my social media for the next few weeks. Okay, I'm going to tell you about a couple of experiences that I've had in my teaching, and I'm sure you will recognise yourself and also the feeling that you get when I talk about it. So I've had plenty of classes with all kinds of students, and if you're lucky, you'll get a class who are fairly outgoing, high energy, talkative, and the crack is always great. However, you do get certain classes where it's like walking into a morgue. Now, it could just be because, there's not a great community, they haven't gelled, there's not the right energy between them, or, they just don't really know how to work together. Because remember, they have to be trained, in most subjects at school, for example, it's very passive. Students sit there, they receive information. But we all know that language learning isn't like that. It has to be interactive and communicative. So students have to be trained. Or it could just be that, they hate being there. They don't see the point of learning this language. They're not motivated and they all just sit there with a face like a smacked ass. Look, we've all been there. But what I've seen before on my observations, and, I used to do this quite a lot in my younger years, is, you try and get the energy levels up and, you find yourself, you're being a more hyper version of yourself. Your voice goes up an octave and you become more animated and you're literally doing jazz hands trying to motivate them and their enthusiasm levels. And a lot of the time it fails, but we do it time and time again. And I've seen it a million times and it's exhausting to watch, And it's so imagine what it's like for the teacher. Well, look, because you've done it. I know you have. So you come out of that class feeling dejected, pissed off, all that planning, all that work, it came to nothing because the students wouldn't get into the activities in the way that you wanted them to, or you thought they would, with the enthusiasm that you thought they would, because it was such a great idea. And, I'm sure it was, my darling, gorgeous teacher. However, I'm sure that, at some point in that lesson, you realised you were flogging a dead horse. So my advice is try to match the energy levels of your students. Now, for example, if your students are like, ugh, and you're going to get much out, you're not going to get a huge amount out of them, what about doing a bit of breathing at the beginning of the class? I've talked about this before. Have a listen to episode 96. Go to your happy place if you want some nice ideas for really nice breathing activities. Breathing has so many benefits. It increases focus. It can reduce discipline problems because, taking a breath if they're in a reactionary mood, means they make more sensible decisions. It means they can go to that place in their mind when they're feeling anxious. And it means also you don't necessarily have to give students extra work if they finish faster than anybody else. They can sit and do a little bit of breathing. They can chill and meditate. How nice is that? But this kind of thing really matches low energy level students because they just won't be as enthusiastic or energetic as you want them to be. So if you feel like you're, suddenly becoming a heightened version of yourself, it means that your brain is kind of going, okay, I have to get them enthusiastic and happy about this. So I'm going to try harder and wave my arms around. But they're not responding to your energy. So, think about it. If that happens, just reset. Go, all right, if it's a really outgoing, high energy class, we can manage a certain task in a certain way. Great. But how can we take that task and match it to a slightly deader class? Let's say they don't want to stand up and move around and chat. You go, okay, guys, stand up. And they go, ooh. All right, what's your next step? Do you continue as you would with a high energy class, or would you make a slight switch? Go, okay, talk to your partner or whatever. I can't really tell you exactly what to do here because I always say you know your students best. But teachers, if nothing else, are brilliant at adapting. So don't just steam ahead with your original idea, exhausting yourself, wearing yourself out, and also wearing your students out and getting them annoyed and irritated. Think about, how can I adapt this just slightly so that the students will actually do what I want them to do? But I think, as always, it's always about cementing better relationships. And I've got loads of episodes on these things. Go back to my Cornerstones of Learning series and listen to a few of those, okay, for laying the basic groundwork for good classroom management and relationships. But in the meantime, you know as well as I do, this is a process. Adapt those activities to suit your class's mood. It could be just a slight change of topic or just adding a couple of little stages where they get more time to prepare. Because sometimes, they don't want to talk. It could be a confidence issue. Maybe they just need time to think on their own or prepare with a partner before actually doing some speaking. Something really simple like that. If they're not really willing to speak independently, more input work would be good. I essentially use beginner students as examples for this, but you can do that with any other levels that are a little reluctant to. And drilling, lots of choral drilling increases confidence. Give your students a chance to listen to pronunciation and connected speech, and it takes away that fear or responsibility of speaking independently as well. Never underestimate the power of drilling. And you have to realize that some students just aren't ready to speak. And again, could be because of their confidence, their mindset, or it could just be because of their level. Now, if you're in mainstream education, you will have mixed abilities in one class, and I know this is a really difficult issue, but don't put pressure on those students to speak too much, especially, let's say, in the first term. Lots of input, let them listen, let them observe, let them work with stronger students to support them, but don't expect them to speak too much. But whatever you do, don't be a parody of yourself. There's nothing sadder than watching a teacher go hyper while the students are just looking at them thinking, yeah, I'm not going to do that. Because that teacher has tried so hard. So my challenge this week is think about the last time you did this over-enthusiastic teacher thing and you came out of the lesson exhausted because your students just weren't playing along. And think about how that made you feel. And then think about your next lesson and how you can come at this class to match the energy levels with appropriate tasks, scaffolding, staging, and maybe with a little bit of input. And I think also if you do have difficult classes, we often go in with they're going to do this kind of thing. And it's like, well, yeah. But if you go in with that inflexible attitude, you're just going to come out disappointed. And I don't mean this in the cruel way, but have less expectations of that class. And what I mean is, don't expect them to produce too much. Don't expect them to do everything you want, right? If they do half of what you want, or there's a slight improvement because you've just adapted or tweaked the lesson a little bit to match their mood and energy levels, that's a win. Okay, and always remember, guys, and I know this is hard because you have pressure for them to pass exams or you have parents breathing down your neck. It is a process and it does take time. But I was chatting with one of my teachers in French Guiana the other week, and she said it's slow, but the change that she's making because of the things that I taught her are slowly starting to work. And that just fills my heart. It really does. And I want you to think about that carefully as well. So we're at the beginning of the year still, okay? If you've got classes that are a little bit difficult, slow down, make sure there's plenty of time to connect with them, talk to them, show interest, get them sort of working together, finding out things about each other. And slowly over time, you will see that once you build this community and you give them a bit more breathing room to slowly change their mind and make them realize how fabulous you are, you will see them respond a little bit differently and more enthusiastically. Okay, so I'm just going to leave you with that thought. You go on your merry way, my darling teacher. You've always got my support. If you want my support, join my Breathe Easy Teacher newsletter. Links in the show notes. Sign up for my webinar. I'm very excited about it. Again, it's on February the 18th, which is a Tuesday, 7 p.m. UK time. There will be a replay available if you can't attend at that time. I know it's not convenient for everyone. Never is. And it is the only way you will receive the discount for my next run of my Heart and Craft, the Methodology Mindset Blueprint for Language Teachers course. So I will see you again soon, possibly next week. Not going to lie, guys, I'm in promotion mode, so there will be more frequent podcasts. That's it. Oh, and also, again, share. Talk me up to your colleagues. 5-star reviews on Spotify and iTunes really help push me up the ratings if you want to just pay it forward. And take care of yourself. Have a safe and peaceful week. And share the love. Bye.